What's going on, tubers? You know, on a serious note, was that Friday night? It was Friday the 13th, of course. And I would have did my normal thing, have my Friday the 13th marathon, but it just didn't happen because what I saw on the news was just devastating. What had taken place out there in France. I mean, not one time did it cross my mind as far as like, oh, we're dealing with so much in the United States. You know what I mean? With the past 911 situation, then also with the Boston bombings, and then also, of course, we know this, police brutality, and unarmed black men dying. All those things that we deal with here in the United States, not one time did I even think that. It was coming from a humanity source within my soul. You know what I'm saying? With all those orchestrated terrorist attacks that had taken place at a soccer stadium and a lot of other places, public places that had a lot of people and tourists and everything. What they say, the death toll was up to 127, and it was 60 something that was injured. Man, that was crazy. My heart goes out to all those families who lost their loved ones attending all those events. And may they all rest in peace.
With terror in Paris tonight, gunmen and suicide bombers launched 6 attacks across the city at a soccer stadium, 4 restaurants, and a concert hall packed with fans watching a show put on by a Southern California band. Here is the latest. The La Parisienne newspaper reports 141 people are dead and 132 injured. The AP reports all 5 attackers have been, quote, neutralized, including 3 who reportedly blew themselves up with suicide vests. Police have not determined who was responsible, but many analysts say all signs point to a sophisticated, well-planned terror attack. And for now, no one is claiming responsibility for the carnage. KCAL's Dave Bryan is monitoring the latest developments and begins our team coverage tonight. Dave.
Susie, Lena, it's 6 a.m. now Saturday morning in Paris, a city that was under siege on Friday night. The attacks were the deadliest violence that city has seen since World War II. The streets of Paris, which are often filled in the early morning darkness with the last vestiges of Friday night's parties and celebrations, were instead filled with bodies, the victims of a night of terrorist bombings and shootings. French police stormed a concert hall where a Southern California band was playing, but it was too late for more than 100 hostages who were executed by the terrorists. At least one band member was able to escape out a back door. The band from Palm Desert, seen here in file video, was performing when the attackers opened fire. Witnesses say the terrorists threw explosives and shot at the crowd inside. Police say it was pure carnage. 3 of the gunmen were killed in the police assault, and some of the hostages were freed after that assault. There was chaos at a popular restaurant in Paris, which was packed with customers when gunmen opened fire on the diners, killing 11 people. American tourist Maddie Young was eating when the attack began and was hustled into the basement.
There were police outside the restaurant, but after a little while, they locked the restaurant after we found out there were more people dead and hostages.
And there was a massive explosion outside the National Soccer Stadium, which was packed with more than 80,000 fans who came to see a Friday night match between France and Germany. Many of them crowded the field after the game, not sure what was going on.
When I looked up to the sky after I heard that loud bang, there were no fireworks, and that's when I knew it had to be something pretty serious.
French President François Hollande was at the game, but he was safely evacuated.
L'état d'urgence, lui...
He went on television to declare a state of emergency and took the unprecedented action of closing the country's borders. President Obama pledged his support.
We are reminded in this time of tragedy that the bonds of liberté and égalité and fraternité are not only values that the French people care so deeply about, but they are values that we share. We're going to do whatever it takes to work with the French people and with nations around the world to bring these terrorists to justice.
When the smoke cleared, at least 6 attacks had been launched on entertainment, sporting, and dining venues in Paris on a busy Friday night. International terrorism expert Brian Jenkins told me the attacks appear to have been carried out by French homegrown terrorists who may have had connections to the larger Middle East terrorist groups.
It could be ISIS, theoretically, in terms of capabilities. It could be Jabhat al-Nusra, which is the al-Qaeda affiliate in Syria. We're not saying at this point that anyone in Syria planned and directed and coordinated this attack. This is within the capacity of homegrown conspirators to get together and think about doing something like this.
Now, furthermore, Jenkins says obtaining automatic weapons and explosives like hand grenades and IEDs is not that difficult for homegrown terrorists who are determined to carry out an attack. Nonetheless, he says it remains to be seen if the attackers have substantial ties to the larger Middle Eastern terrorist groups, and Lena Susie, whether they took direction from them as well.